What if the body whispers before it falls silent? What if there are gentle signs, quiet messages that tell us when someone we love is preparing for their final journey? These aren't dramatic moments or sudden crises. They're subtle shifts that happen gradually, peacefully, and with a grace that many of us never notice until it's too late. Today, we're going to talk about something deeply personal and profoundly important. We're exploring 8 powerful signs that many seniors exhibit in their final year of life. This isn't about creating fear or sadness. This is about understanding, compassion, and the sacred opportunity to be truly present during one of life's most meaningful transitions. Whether you're caring for an aging parent, spending time with a beloved grandparent, or simply want to understand this natural process, this knowledge can transform how you experience these precious moments. Death remains one of the most misunderstood aspects of human experience. We avoid talking about it, shy away from its reality, and often miss the beautiful, peaceful signals that our bodies give us when it's time to prepare. But here's the truth that can set us free from fear. Dying is not usually sudden or violent. For most seniors, it's a gradual, gentle process marked by specific physical, emotional, and spiritual changes that deserve our attention and our reverence. When we recognize these signs, something remarkable happens. Our panic transforms into peace. Our resistance becomes acceptance. Our fear turns into love. We stop trying to fix or reverse what's happening and instead learn to simply be present, to hold space, to offer comfort during this sacred passage. For the seniors themselves, being understood during this time brings immense relief. They don't have to hide what they're experiencing or pretend to be stronger than they feel. They can rest into the natural rhythm of their body's wisdom. Let's begin with the first sign, one that almost every senior experiences in their final year: a sudden and significant change in sleeping and energy patterns. You might notice that your loved one who used to wake early and stay active throughout the day now sleeps 12, 14, or even 16 hours daily. They're not just taking afternoon naps anymore. They're sleeping most of the time, waking only for brief periods before drifting back into slumber. Many family members panic when they see this change. They worry that their loved one is giving up or becoming depressed. They try to keep them awake, encourage them to get up and move around, or feel guilty that they're not doing enough to maintain their energy. But here's what's really happening. The body is conserving its precious remaining energy. As organs begin to slow down and the body's systems require less fuel to function, the natural response is sleep. This isn't laziness or depression. It's the body's innate wisdom at work. Think of it like a battery that's running low. The body automatically shifts into power-saving mode, directing energy only to the most essential functions. Sleep becomes a sanctuary, a place where the body can do its internal work without the demands of consciousness. Your loved one isn't bored or trying to escape. They're experiencing a peaceful inward retreat, often filled with dreams, memories, and a kind of rest that goes deeper than ordinary sleep. What should you do when you notice this sign? Create a calm, warm, and comfortable environment. Don't fight against the sleep or try to keep them engaged when their body is calling them to rest. Sit quietly beside them. Hold their hand. Let them know through your gentle presence that it's safe to sleep, that you're there, and that they don't need to perform or stay alert for your sake. Some of the most profound connections happen in silence, when you're simply sharing space and breathing the same air. Second sign is a loss of appetite and dramatic changes in taste and eating habits. Food that once brought joy and satisfaction suddenly holds no appeal. Your loved one might take a few bites and push the plate away, or they might refuse meals entirely. They might say that nothing tastes right anymore, that food feels heavy in their mouth, or that they're simply not hungry. This change can be deeply distressing for caregivers, especially in cultures where feeding our loved ones is a primary expression of care. We equate eating with living, and when someone stops eating, we fear we're losing them. Family members often try everything: cooking favorite dishes, offering treats, pleading, bargaining, or even forcing food. But here's the essential truth you need to understand: this loss of appetite is not starvation. It's a natural decrease in the body's metabolic needs. When the body is preparing to shut down, it requires less fuel. The digestive system slows, and processing food actually becomes uncomfortable or even painful. Forcing food during this stage doesn't extend life. It creates distress, discomfort, and sometimes nausea or pain. The most loving thing you can do is honor your loved one's signals. Offer small tastes of things they might enjoy, but don't pressure them to eat. A spoonful of ice cream, a sip of favorite tea, a small bite of something soft and easy to swallow. These aren't about nutrition anymore. They're about comfort, familiarity, and the ritual of sharing. Shift your focus from feeding their body to nourishing their spirit. Your presence, your stories, your gentle touch, these are the sustenance that matters most now. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is permission to let go of food without guilt, to rest into this change without feeling they're disappointing you by not eating. The third sign is withdrawal from people and conversations. Your once social loved one might stop wanting visitors, even close family members. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel labored. They might give short answers, seem distant, or simply close their eyes while you're talking. Phone calls go unanswered. They might not ask about family news or seem interested in what's happening in the world around them. This withdrawal can feel like rejection, especially if you're someone who deeply loves this person. You might feel hurt that they don't want to see you or wonder if you've done something wrong. But please understand, this inward turning is not about you. It's a profound psychological and spiritual process. Your loved one is beginning to detach from the physical world and the social connections that once defined their life. They're focusing inward, reviewing memories, reconciling relationships in their mind, and preparing emotionally for what's coming. This doesn't mean they don't love you. In fact, this withdrawal often indicates a deep acceptance and peace with life's completion. They're no longer fighting or resisting. They're allowing the natural process to unfold. Some spiritual traditions describe this as the soul beginning to separate from the body, a gradual loosening of the ties that bind consciousness to physical form. Honor this withdrawal by adjusting your expectations. Instead of trying to engage them in conversation or bringing news and updates, simply sit with them in silence. Hold their hand, read quietly nearby, play soft music. Your silent, peaceful presence communicates love more powerfully than words ever could. Quality of presence matters infinitely more than quantity of interaction. Brief moments of genuine connection, a smile, a squeeze of the hand, a whispered "I love you," these become the treasures you'll carry forward. The fourth sign involves changes in breathing patterns and body temperature. You might notice that your loved one's breathing becomes irregular. There might be long pauses between breaths, followed by several quick, shallow breaths, then another pause. This pattern, called Cheyne-Stokes breathing, can be alarming if you don't understand what's happening. The breaths might also become noisy or rattling as fluids accumulate in the throat and airways. At the same time, you might notice that their hands and feet feel cool to the touch, or that their skin takes on a bluish or mottled appearance, especially in the extremities. This happens because the body is prioritizing blood flow to vital organs like the heart and brain, pulling circulation away from the limbs. The body is quite literally shutting down from the outside in, protecting the core for as long as possible. These changes don't usually cause pain or distress to the person experiencing them, even though they can be difficult to witness. Most seniors at this stage report feeling peaceful, not struggling for breath despite how it might appear. The body's natural pain management systems are remarkably effective during this process. What looks uncomfortable to us often isn't uncomfortable for them. Your role during this phase is to provide comfort through your calm presence. Keep the room at a comfortable temperature. Use light blankets if they seem cold, but don't pile on heavy covers that might feel oppressive. Keep the air fresh but not drafty. Most importantly, manage your own anxiety so that you bring peace rather than panic into the room. Your loved one can sense your emotional state even when they can't communicate clearly. Your calmness becomes their calmness. Your acceptance helps them accept. Breathe slowly and deeply yourself, and often their breathing will unconsciously synchronize with yours. The fifth sign is a profound emotional shift, often characterized by unusual calmness and peace. Seniors who spent their lives worrying, planning, or being anxious might suddenly become remarkably serene. Old resentments fade, past hurts seem to dissolve. They might express forgiveness for people who wronged them or seek forgiveness for their own mistakes. They might share gratitude for simple things, appreciation for their life, and acceptance of what's coming. This emotional transformation is one of the most beautiful aspects of the dying process, yet it's often misunderstood. Family members might think their loved one is in denial or not fully aware of their condition. But the opposite is usually true. This peace comes from a deep acceptance, a spiritual maturity that transcends fear. Many seniors describe a sense of readiness, not because they want to die, but because they recognize that their work here is complete. They might have conversations that seem to be tying up loose ends, expressing love to people they haven't spoken to in years, or sharing wisdom and memories with younger generations. These aren't random acts. They're part of the life review process, a natural psychological phenomenon where people reflect on their entire life, finding meaning and closure. This process brings tremendous peace and often resolves conflicts that have lingered for decades. Your response to this emotional grace should be one of deep listening and loving presence. Don't dismiss their expressions of peace as confusion or try to argue them out of their acceptance. This is their journey and they're walking it with courage and dignity. Listen to their stories, receive their forgiveness if they offer it, offer your own if it's needed. Thank them for the lessons they've taught you. Tell them it's okay to let go when they're ready. These conversations, though difficult, are sacred gifts that both of you will carry forever. The sixth sign, which we must revisit because of its profound importance, is the continued and deepening loss of appetite and changes in eating habits. As the days and weeks progress, your loved one might stop eating almost entirely. Even fluids might be refused. This stage can be agonizing for families because every instinct tells us that people need food and water to survive. We feel helpless and guilty when we can't get them to eat. But here's what you must understand. At this stage of the dying process, decreased food and fluid intake actually reduces suffering rather than causing it. When the kidneys are failing, excess fluid can accumulate in the lungs, causing breathing difficulties. When the digestive system is shutting down, food can cause nausea, bloating, and pain. The body's natural reduction of appetite is protective, not harmful. This is one of nature's mercies, a way of making the dying process more comfortable. Artificial nutrition and hydration at this late stage rarely improves quality of life and can sometimes extend suffering without extending meaningful life. Your loved one isn't hungry in the way a healthy person is hungry. They're not experiencing the discomfort of starvation. Their body has shifted into a different metabolic state where food is simply not needed or wanted. Instead of focusing on what they're not eating, focus on keeping their mouth comfortable. Offer small ice chips if they want them. Moisten their lips with a damp cloth or lip balm. These small comforts can make a significant difference in how they feel. And most importantly, let go of food as a measure of your care. You're caring for them beautifully through your presence, your tenderness, and your willingness to honor what their body is telling them. The seventh sign involves dramatic changes in sleep patterns and levels of awareness. Your loved one might sleep almost constantly now, rousing only briefly before drifting off again. When they're awake, they might seem confused about time and place, not recognizing familiar surroundings or mixing up past and present. They might have conversations with people who aren't there, reaching towards someone invisible or speaking to deceased loved ones as if they're present in the room. These experiences can be frightening for family members who fear their loved one is hallucinating or losing their mind. But in the context of approaching death, these visions are incredibly common and often quite comforting to the person experiencing them. Many spiritual traditions and even some medical professionals suggest that these visions might represent a thinning of the veil between physical and spiritual reality, a transition state where consciousness exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Whether you interpret these experiences spiritually or as neurological changes in a dying brain, the appropriate response is the same: respect and gentle acknowledgement. Don't argue with your loved one about who is or isn't in the room. Don't try to reorient them to current reality if they're peaceful in their alternate awareness. If they see their deceased mother and find comfort in that vision, let them have that comfort. Ask gentle questions like, "What is she saying to you?" Or, "I'm glad she's here with you." Your acceptance of their experience, whatever it is, brings them peace. During these times of altered consciousness, continue to speak to them as if they can hear and understand you, because even when they can't respond, hearing often remains. Share your love, play their favorite music, read passages from books they loved or prayers that brought them comfort. These sensory experiences reach them even in deep sleep or altered states, creating islands of peace in the confusion. The eighth and final sign is one that catches families completely off guard: a sudden burst of energy before the final decline. This phenomenon, sometimes called the rally or the last surge, happens when a senior who has been declining for weeks or months suddenly seems remarkably improved. They wake up alert and chatty. They ask for food and eat a full meal. They want to see people, share stories, and engage with life in a way they haven't in a long time. Families often interpret this surge as a sign of recovery, a turning point where their loved one is getting better. They call relatives with joy, saying, "You should come visit, mom is doing so much better." But experienced hospice workers and doctors recognize this rally for what it usually is: the body's last gift, a final gathering of energy that allows for meaningful goodbyes and closure. This surge typically lasts anywhere from a few hours to a few days, and it's almost always followed by a rapid decline. Why does this happen? Medical science doesn't fully understand the rally, but it appears to be the body mobilizing its final reserves of energy, perhaps triggered by hormonal changes or neurological shifts. Some spiritual perspectives see it as the soul's last opportunity to say goodbye, to tie up loose ends, and to leave final messages of love. If you witness this rally, receive it as the precious gift it is, but don't be lulled into false hope. Use this time for the conversations that matter. Say the things you need to say, listen to their stories, take pictures if they're willing, record their voice. Gather family members if possible, hold their hand and tell them everything you want them to know. This is not the time for denial or waiting. This is the time for truth, love, and presence. When the rally ends and the decline resumes, it's often swift. Your loved one might slip into unconsciousness within hours or days and not wake again. Knowing that the rally is a goodbye rather than a recovery allows you to make the most of those final alert moments rather than being shocked and unprepared when the decline follows. Understanding these 8 signs changes everything about how we experience the final year of life, both for seniors themselves and for the people who love them. Death is not the enemy when it comes naturally at the end of a long life. Fighting against these signs, trying to reverse them, or refusing to acknowledge them creates suffering for everyone. Acceptance creates peace. Understanding creates compassion. Presence creates connection. For seniors who might be experiencing these signs themselves, this knowledge can be deeply comforting. You're not failing, you're not giving up. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do, guiding you gently toward the next phase of existence with built-in comfort measures and natural grace. You can release the pressure to stay alert, to eat, to engage socially, or to fight against the changes. You can rest into the wisdom of your own body. You can trust the process. For caregivers and family members, these signs are invitations to deeper love. Each change is an opportunity to practice acceptance, to let go of control, to simply be present with someone you love during their most vulnerable time. The greatest gift you can give is not medical intervention or forced nutrition or desperate attempts to keep them engaged. The greatest gift is your peaceful, loving presence, your willingness to witness their journey without trying to change it, and your courage to say goodbye when the time comes. This is not easy. Watching someone you love go through these changes requires tremendous strength, patience, and emotional maturity. You will have moments of grief, fear, and resistance. That's completely normal and human. But underneath those challenging emotions, you can cultivate a foundation of acceptance that allows you to be the calm, grounding presence your loved one needs. Create space for your own grief while you're still caring for them. Find support through friends, counselors, or support groups. Take breaks when you need them. Care for your own physical and emotional health so you can show up fully during the time you have together. Remember that being present doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real, being there, and being willing to walk this path together. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to know that if you're currently caring for someone in their final year of life, you are doing sacred work. The tenderness you bring, the patience you practice, the love you offer, these are shaping not only your loved one's experience but your own heart. Years from now, you won't remember whether you got them to eat another meal or kept them awake for another conversation. You'll remember the moments of connection, the peace in their eyes, the last time they smiled, the way their hand felt in yours. And if you're someone who is experiencing these signs yourself, know that you are not alone in this journey. Millions of people have walked this path before you, and every single one of them has been held by love, by the wisdom of their own body, and by whatever greater force they believe guides us from this life to whatever comes next. You can let go of struggle. You can rest. You can trust that you are exactly where you need to be, experiencing exactly what you need to experience. I invite you to take action with the knowledge you've received today. If you're caring for an aging loved one, have a gentle conversation with them about these signs. Ask them what they're experiencing. Listen without judgment. Create space for them to share their fears and their peace. If you're a senior yourself, talk with your family about what you need, what brings you comfort, and how they can best support you during this transition. Share this video with others who are walking this journey. Leave a comment below telling us your experience or asking questions you still have. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to feel less alone. Subscribe to this channel so you can continue receiving information that honors the full spectrum of life, including its final chapters. Together we can change the conversation around dying from one of fear and avoidance to one of understanding, acceptance, and love. The body whispers before it falls silent, and now you know how to listen. May you bring this wisdom into every interaction, every moment of care, every goodbye. May you find peace in the process and grace in the letting go, and may you always remember that love never ends even when life does.